Welcome to part 2 of the Amber Swartz Garcia case. Just as a reminder, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. People mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. At 4:30 p.m., Kim's friend and her daughter arrive at the Swartz Garcia home. They come inside the house and ask where Amber is. Amber's mom tells them that she was just on the front porch jumping rope. Kim's friend and her daughter tell her that they did not see her when they were coming in. I cannot even begin to imagine the gut-wrenching feeling Kim must have felt at that moment. They started looking for Amber immediately, knocking on doors, and even went by a nearby vacant lot. Amber liked to go and pick up treasures like rocks and sticks, but there were no signs of Amber anywhere. Kim called the police 45 minutes later and reported Amber missing. The police arrived within minutes. The fact Amber went missing 4 months after her dad, Officer Bernie Schwartz's death, and just 2 weeks after a superior court upheld James Odell's death sentence for the murder of Rena Aguilar and Bernie Schwartz, what first came to mind to police that it could be in relation or related to that. However, it was quickly ruled as having no connection. At around 5 p.m. on the day Amber went missing, a man took his daughter out for ice cream and they stopped at Alvarado Park in Richmond, California, approximately 6.5 miles away from Amber's home in Pinole. They witnessed a man grab a small blonde girl by the neck and threw her towards the floor of the passenger seat of his light blue and gray car and drove away. The man was taken aback by the scene but brushed it off as maybe a dad being rough, whether it was a heavy-handed dad or maybe something else he did not know. There weren't Amber alerts then, so he didn't know that a child was actively missing. But the witness did manage to write down with pen and paper, because we did not have a notes app back then, what he could remember of the license plate of the car, the description of the man, and the description of the little girl. The witness describes the man who grabbed the little girl as a clean-shaven, sandy hair and maybe he had a baseball cap on. He describes the little girl as small, maybe between 5 and 8 years old, with blonde hair. Kim would not find out about this tip until 5 years later. The next day after Amber's disappearance, it was a Saturday, police found a pair of child-sized pink socks nearby in an area that they had already searched. They asked Kim if they belonged to Amber. Kim described this as a blur because when they presented her the pink socks they found, she thought she saw something that appeared to be blood on them. She told the police that it looked like they could be the socks that she was wearing, but she couldn't be 100% sure. And as a girl mom, I could not agree more with when she tells the police something to the effect of, how many pink socks could there be? And on June 6, 1988, just 3 days after Amber went missing, a man named Timothy Binder showed up at the Swartz Garcia residence and offered to help search for her. Standing 5 foot 6 inches tall, 150 pounds, blue eyes, Timothy appeared with a scruffy 5 o'clock shadow, the beginnings of a beard, and medium-length sandy hair. He was wearing a button that read, "I love kids." What made Kim and her family's jaw drop was Timothy's asking if they realized they were looking for a dead body. On June 2nd, 1988, Timothy Binder sent Susan Bouguet, Angela Bouguet's mother, a letter just a day before Amber Swartz Garcia disappeared. On July 7th of 1988, Timothy called Kim saying that there was a possible link between Amber's case and Angela Bouguet's case. I will honor her in a whole other video dedicated to her case, but just to quickly summarize it, Angela Bouguet was a 4-year-old girl who went missing on November 19th of 1983 from Antioch, California. Her mother's ex-boyfriend, Larry Christopher Graham, ended up being convicted for her murder, but at this point, only her body had been found. Timothy Bittner is also a whole other episode I'd like to do a deep dive on. But I do have to tell you that he has never been charged for any crime and is presumed innocent until proven guilty in court. That being said, I personally think that he is extremely creepy, his behavior is not normal, and is completely unacceptable. Timothy Bittner had a tendency to meddle in young missing girl cases, especially in the Bay Area. He has offered to help with the case of Amber Swartz Garcia, Angela Bouguet, Eileen Michaloff, Michaela Garrick, and Amanda Nikki Campbell. He would write letters to the missing girls and mail it to their families. He would also take advantage of his work computer at the Social Security Administration, collect the names and addresses of young girls, and would write them and send them money. Timothy's creepy light blue Dodge van with license plates were personalized, reading LOVYOU, love you. The inside and outside of the van was wallpapered with pictures of young girls, both missing and accounted for. The inside of the van was filled with crayon drawings. When Kim called the cops about Timothy Bittner, they already knew who she was talking about. The FBI was already watching him. On June 15, 1988, dogs tracked Amber's scent to Angela Bouguet's grave. And just as a side note, unfortunately, the assistance of scent tracking canines is not 100% admissible in court, nor are lie detector tests, but both certainly can and are used as tools for investigators. On June 9, 1993, Timothy filed a $25 million claim against Fairfield and Detective Harold Sagan. On September 21st of 1993, after Timothy Bittner was on the news, the man who saw the little girl and the aggressive man at Alvarado Park on June 3rd of 1988 called the Pinole Police Department. He tells them about the white man who was about 40 years old, maybe wearing a baseball cap, with dirty blonde hair, driving a beige and light blue car that looks something like a 1966 Pontiac Bonneville. He tells them about the little blonde girl. He adds that he was with his daughter and they were about 10 feet away, and he did not intersect for safety, and because he did not know that a child was actively missing, and he also didn't know if this could be a father being heavy-handed with his kid. Trying to be as helpful as possible, he adds that he had gotten off of work around 3:30 p.m. that day. After work, he picked up his daughter from school, brought ice cream to the park, and they were at the park between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Go to part 3.